Oh, whoops. We've just dropped a pen lid on the floor, ladies, so do apologise. Fortunately, there wasn't an offensive word. And that, can I see it? I can see it. That's better. Let's just pop that onto there. And then just do a little bit of organisation of everything else that needs to be organised. Whilst a few people hopefully come in. I know it's a glorious day in the UK. I have both doors of my conservatory open, which is cool, because that's just what needs to happen to keep me cool. Good afternoon, Lorraine. Welcome, my darling. Let me just pop that onto there. Oh, so let's turn that sound down on there. And there we are. Let's get that sorted. Cool. Hi, Jan. You've got a fan on? Yeah, absolutely. The sun's gone down a little bit here, so it's not quite as hot as it might be. Hello, Juliana. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, we've got an interesting collection of things on my table today, because unlike most of our lovely Hungarian creatives who only get to do one live with their products and then create offline other projects, I've won the joy of doing lots of projects with it. And as we all know, artistic painting is maybe not my forte. Anyway, so we're going to have a bit of fun, and we're going to take something and convert it into a little booklet. It's not going to stay plain. It's not even going to be this colour, but this is the prototype that I did. So this is literally a leather cover with some scrapbook paper to line it and some papers that I can then take out. It's nicely protected, and I can add as many inserts as I want to it, and take in, take out, add in, add out, use whatever papers I want as I feel like doing. So we're going to start out with, let's lift that piece all down onto the floor. We've got the usual 25 tons of stuff on here, and I just have a beautiful piece of soft leather. You need a minimum piece of leather for the make I'm doing of 10 inches by 7 inches to fold in half. For my demo piece, I've got a 12 by 12 piece. So, hi, Jan, welcome. Good evening, Sheila. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome from the United States. Hello, Katerina. Welcome from the beautiful country of Greece. So I'm going to show you what I did to create my fabric that we're going to use, although we may not paint the whole thing all together, because it might just be just a tad boring, and that's okay, but rinse and repeat can only go so far, although projects do take as long as they take. So that's cool. So let me just fold this piece of kitchen roll up and make myself a little pad. This is a piece of natural leather, but it could just as easily be a piece of faux leather, and I think it would work just as well on some period stone paper if you can get a piece that is big enough. So let's just pop some of the leather solvent base cleaner onto here and give this a good wipe to prepare the surface. And you'll see that even though this is a fresh piece of leather, hasn't been out and about apart from being stored in a plastic bag, that actually a lot of surface stuff will come off it. So there we go. You can see that I'm lifting off colour by doing that, which tells you there is loose stuff on the surface. This, as it is a solvent-based product, I have absolutely got my conservatory doors wide open so that I can make sure that the fumes go out the door. And that's a global safety activity, isn't it, that we should all adhere to when we're working with some solvent-based products. Let's just turn that inside. You see, I'm still lifting colour off here, so let's just give it a goodly wipe down, because any loose stuff on the surface will stop your paints and things adhering ultimately. There we are. Good evening, Sarah. Has Sophie joined us today? I hope so. I think her ankle is now better, and so hopefully I know she said she was going out for a walk. So let's just pop this way. Doesn't really matter what way. And I'm just going to draw a very abstract pattern on here with a Posca pen. So this is one of the fine Posca pens. I just want to break my area up into different shapes. I don't think that there is necessarily a right or wrong for this. But this is all like literally what I did for the piece that I'm going to actually be working with for the journal, and that's cool. So we'll not have quite so many lines into here, I think, and these are guidelines, so they're not there to be stuck to completely, but it's just making some abstract patterns and breaking this area up a little bit into some areas that I can then fill. So the Posca pens are acrylic paint pens, but they will stick onto a leather and paint. And as I say, those are just there as guidelines for me for the moment, for what I'm intending adding in. So let's just move that over there. The Posca pens won't take forever to dry, which is just cool. And I am going to be working with white fabric and leather paint, the blue fabric and leather paint, and the pistachio leather and fabric paint, because I'm going to make my own colours and tones this way, which is cool. So let's just add a big blob of that white onto there, and then let's relid that because it's very warm in here, and let's just wipe the excess off onto there. There we are. Let's add some blue. As you can see, my pots of paint are reasonably well loved. There we are. Let's just take that out of the way. So this is the blue. It's definitely a fairly bright blue, not in keeping with the turquoise of my fabric, but that's okay. I'm wanting to add layers of colour and texture into this. I don't want it all to be one colour, although I am going to be using the turquoise as a base. And there we are, and this is the pistachio. So let's just pop some of that into there. So there we are. And let's lid that. And then we're going to do a little bit of mixing of things. Hello, Barbara. Welcome, my darling. Just let me clean the yuck off my hands before I end up making a little mess. It's quite warm here. The sun has gone in. It's not as hot and muggy as it was. But it is lovely to have some decent weather, isn't it? That is for sure. So let's just clean my hands, take sure we haven't got any yuck on them, and then I don't transfer stuff when I don't want to. So I'm going to do a bit of colour mixing. So let's just take some of that blue, that bright blue, pop it into a separate area. I'm going to take some of that pistachio even. So that's going to give me a different colour completely. There we are. I might end up needing to get some of that blue, more of that blue out, but that's okay. Oh, she says. Let's pop that into there. let's just leave that one where it is, and let's just add a little bit more blue into that white, because the joy, of course, of having white in your stash is that you can then create lots of different shades and tones. So I'll pop that back into there, and then I can have a little mix of that. And then I've got a palette of 4 different colours, or I will have by the time that's all mixed in together, to work with. These are going to be, I think, thin enough for me to work with. Yeah, I think so. I could add just a little bit of the blending fluid, but I think possibly because the weather is quite warm, these are not too bad today. So I've clearly got some nice colour mixes here. Hello Lorraine, welcome my darling for here. And as I say, I have pre-done a whole 12-inch piece, so that's to save you all the pain of me having to do each one. And then I'm literally just going to use the guidelines on here to add in. You know, remember I have primed this already with the solvent cleaner. There we are. Now, one of the things when you've got paler colours is that you may well find that you need to add more than one layer to get your complete coverage, and that is just cool. I'm not worried about going over the black lines, because once it's all dry, I can, you know, go back over the piece. So this is sort of, and I could make these colours, custom colour these any which way I want, which is also cool. So this isn't a difficult technique. It doesn't require a lot of artistic skills. That's, you know, always a benefit, I think, because sometimes I think fine art skills can put people off what they're doing. This is definitely something that is achievable by anyone, I think. So there we are. You want some nice edges, but I'm not worried about, as I say, going over particularly. So we're just going to add some areas in so that you can see the process, and then of this. And as I say, I've got one that is already pre-dried, because you really do need to let your pieces dry properly before you then carry on to do other things to them. So there we are. So that's given me an area there. And let's see where we go. Let's just pop another area here. There isn't a lot of rhyme nor reason to this. I don't want 2 colours butting onto each other. As you can see there, I'm not worried about the fact that I've gone over that black line. These paints will cover, as I say. You might need to end up with adding another layer, and we can tidy up the edges as we want to. So let's just go for, let's have a third area. But as I say, ultimately, you can add as many or as few colours or patches as you want. And remember, you don't have to add colour to all of the areas. I think on my original piece, I added a lot more white in, and that's fine. Just, you know, if you load your brush reasonably well, you get nicer edges, that's for certain. There we are, less tatty edges, and I'm going to swing that up there just to alter the shape of it. Why? Because that's just how I feel at the moment. There we are. And as I say, it's a paler colour, so I might well end up needing, once it's dry, to add a second layer, and that is just cool. Hi Lorraine, hi sir. Yes, no, I saw the news, darling. I saw the news. Very, very, very sad. So that I don't end up working back and forth. So let's just take that bright blue. As I say, this piece is not my final, going to be my creative piece, creating a piece today. I've got a second piece that I'm going to use, but we're going to make a journal cover, that you can then use. And because it's not made with paper, but its covering is leather, then of course you've got a lot more durability, because leather is moderately indestructible, isn't it? There we are. You can see what I mean by loading your brush. These paints are fairly gloopy, and that's fine. Yeah. So let's just pop that going in the opposite direction to there. And this is, as I say, I don't believe there is a right, and I don't believe there is a wrong to this. I think it is very much about how you feel at the time. And I know I'm going to have to swap out to a different mat before I can continue making, but that's okay. So that's given us 3 of those. You can add as many shades or as tones as you want. I can see that I'm going to need to add on. There we go. So let's just take that neat pistachio, and I think I'm going to pop that into there. And of course you can create infinite numbers of colours and tones, can't you? If you've got paints that will work together. So I don't want to pull that down onto there, though I am going to cover the inside of my midori ultimately. So I guess in the UK, possibly not elsewhere, in the UK, midori is a melon flavoured liqueur. But I know in parts of Europe, a midori is like a cover for a little book that can hold notes and pages in. So it's amazing the difference that, just a few 100 miles makes in terms of people's understanding of what things are. And that's another light colour, so ultimately we'll need another layer over it. Hello, Liz. Welcome, my darling. So let's just add that. This is the pistachio one, so that's cool. I rather like this. I've had a bit of what you might call a blah day today. I've not felt 100% great, and nothing specifically I can put my fingers on. Perhaps not helped by the fact that we've had the power switched off for part of the day by our electricity board. They did warn us, to be fair, that they were going to do it because they were needing to do some work on the local substation. It wasn't off for very long, but that set the stress levels going in my head around whether I was going to be able to get back online later on this evening. So that's never a great thought process, because me and technology are renowned for having arguments. There we are. So we can dump that. Let's just take that in there. And as I say, this really will, I think some of these are definitely going to need to be left to dry. We'll maybe take a heat gun to it. So I've got quite a big area here, and I'm not liking the size of it. So I am going to break that down. Again, the heat definitely does not help. So let's have that. Just be a little bit more mindful, having just put that in. So just putting that thin Posca pen line down just helps. And as I say, this is intentionally abstract. Make of it what you want. Is it waves? Is it lines? Is it just abstract? Is it just a wavy pattern? Doesn't really matter, does it? So let's just now fill in some of these areas. So that's a different colour. adding in yeah. And I will redraw the lines in once it's all dried. And I know full well that requires me to be patient. And guess what? I'm not the world's most renowned for is having patience. But it's definitely easier once it's dried. So we can have that one there. Let's just add that one to there. And then we'll have a little look and see what we've got. Okay. So we've got two aligned identical there, which we don't particularly want. So that, well, we might have created ourselves a little bit of a headache here, but hey ho, I think I'm actually just going to pop that one into there because I think it's going to work. And yeah, I know that means I'm going to have 4 of these, but that's okay. Because by the time I've taken my piece of leather, dried it, added extra details into it, it's really not going to be an issue. Let's just add some more of that nice bright blue into here. And then we don't have linked pieces. And we've got 3 of our original colour of the leather showing. So we're taking advantage of that. Okay. So let's just pop that onto there. And that's the intention, that it looks a bit like waves. And as I say, off live I would add a second layer to these, but for the purposes of this I'm going to work with 1 layer. I can see there's some translucency at the moment. Yeah, that's a goodly thought process. Right, I do need to get particularly the edges dry, because we're going to tidy up some of these areas, but to do that absolutely requires me to have some drier areas, because if you try drawing with a Posca pen on top of wet stuff, then actually it just doesn't draw on very well. And in reality, actually, what I found by experimenting, if you're going to do something like this, is that add all your colour, get that to the density that you want, then add a layer of the varnish, and then add your lines back in over the top, and you can re-varnish it if you need to. I definitely need to. The problem with taking a heat gun is that it dries the surface. It's not dried fully all the way through. No, so I would absolutely add second layers to some of these. Though on camera it actually looks more dense coverage than it does in. We might just draw in some fish. Who knows, Sarah? Who knows? Good evening, Dolly. How is the lovely Ireland today? I trust that it's definitely. Your patience is a virtue. Do I have patience? Answer: no. And it's boring waiting for paint to dry. I know it is, but hey ho. If I don't, then the next steps definitely won't work very well. If I try and add my hot, yeah, it's been quite hot over here, though the sun is now behind clouds, so it's cooled down a little bit. I just need to be patient. These paints are glossy even when they're dry, so that doesn't help me knowing when things are dry and when they're not completely dry. I know, it's a joy to have some nice warm weather, isn't it? It's an absolute joy. Right. We might get away with it, we might not. So the next step, because this is definitely required, is going to be to seal these paints in with leather varnish, with the leather varnish. So this will seal everything in place, and then I can dry over the top. So let's just hope that those are dry enough for me not to, oops, she says, smudge too much of that paint. So we have got a wet area there, but that's okay. I'll live with that. I will live with it. As I say, it's inevitable. You know, off life, I would just walk away, let it all completely dry naturally, and then add the colour back over. But I can sort that. I can mix that colour into there. We'll just end up with a slightly different colour in the process, but that's also just fine. I can cope with that. So these varnishes will go on white and milky, but once they are dry, they will be clear. So we'll do that because I think and hope that will then have a dry enough surface that's going to allow me to show you what I did for the next steps reasonably comfortably, because at the moment it's a bit of a hot mess. I get that. Yes, as I say, it's abstract art, so the eye is in the person who's creating it, not necessarily in anyone else's, because there really isn't a right and there really isn't a wrong to this. So let's just wipe out some of those where I've got thicker layers. Pop that over there. So most of that I think was reasonably dry. So let's put that onto there. We'll give this a little bit of a wipe so we don't transfer too much in the process onto things. You can see it's drying reasonably well, isn't it, in this, with the heat of the day over here in the UK. There we are. There we are. Cool. As I say, this is a step-by-step process, but with a large piece already done. Hi Beverly, welcome my darling. I trust that you are well. So let's just give this a good dry. And I'm very sorry to have to be repetitive. Yeah, I think that sea themes would work. Sea themes would definitely work for this. Yeah, I always end up heat drying on the light, but it's definitely not my preference, I have to say. My preference is always going to be to allow stuff to dry naturally, because that way you don't risk surfaces bubbling. Fortunately, because this is leather, not faux leather, I'm perfectly safe to take a heat gun to this, because the leather is not going to melt under it. So the paints take 24 hours really to be properly dry, left naturally. That's through and through, and once they've been left for 24 hours, they are pretty permanent. So they often feel a little tacky, and that's where the varnish, either the glossy or the matte varnish, comes in, because it takes the tackiness out of the surface. This is still feeling tacky to me, but hey ho, we'll just give that. And it's quite commonly I will varnish something put more than one layer of varnish over something, just to make sure that I haven't missed any areas. So that's pretty well. Now whether the Posca pans will draw over it now is a moot point. So once this is properly dry, and as I say, if you're really struggling with it, then please just put it away and let it dry properly. Absolutely, definitely not. The first make I did, Dolly, with with the faux leather paint was with a leatherette piece. So because I have varnished that and made sure it's dry, I've now just got a nice wide Posca pen, and I can tidy up some of these areas, and I can have a thicker line if I want to. It doesn't have, I'm not worried about it being wobbly, but you can see that with the, just what a difference adding that line into it makes. So let me just start here. And now you know why I wasn't really worried about going over. So when you get to a tacky area, you definitely know when, because the pen absolutely does not like it. So let me just flood that pen a bit better. I've got several of these, and it doesn't damage it, but you are definitely totally better off if you can wait and let everything properly dry. But just adding that outlining there makes a huge difference, and it just neatens up everything that you're doing. Just helping you can see where you're going, but hey ho, that's okay. We'll sort that out. And you can have thicker areas at junctions or thinner areas. The choice is entirely yours. Let's just neaten this where I've linked pieces together. There we are. And move, don't forget, make your life easy. Move stuff around. Don't make your life hard work by trying to work over and under yourself. There we are. And as I say, you can build the colours up. So when you've done all of this across the whole piece, like so, and I would literally then just continue to do the whole of that piece. I'm going to pop that one off to the floor over there. And here is one we have done earlier. So slightly smaller blocks. And at this point, you can add doodles or not, as the case may be. So I'm actually going to, I think, cut this down into the piece I want for my make before adding my doodles. So I've got it orientated the way I want it to do. So let me pick a trimmer. Here we are. So I know that I'm going to make a cover that is this size. So that is 5 inches by 7 inches. So that means I need a piece that is 10 inches. This is conveniently a 12 by 12 piece of, or thereabouts, piece of leather. There we are. And pop that into there. Okay. And 7 inches tall. Yeah, that's okay. And then I've got some strips left over. So that will form the cover, which is cool. I want to create a pocket inside here, want both sides for putting things in. So that strip is 2 inches. And I can cut that down to 7. So that ultimately will sit inside there. And this piece I need to have 2-inch strip or thereabouts. Let's just straighten that up. So we'll have a 2-inch strip by 7. There we are. And that one will go into there. And then I want a piece that will help close it. And that's a little bit too big. So I am just going to chop that down to 1 inch. There we are. So from that, one piece of leather, could be been the back of a sofa, you know, lots of different options. I now have some pieces to work with. Okay. So we're going to do some little bits first to make my life easier. That'll be where I put it. Yeah, before we do anything else, I'm going to move my glass mat, the reason for which will become apparent very shortly. Because if I don't, I will have a very broken mat. Oh, she's nice. Because I need a hammer, and amongst other things. There we are. We'll have some of that. Let's shuffle that over there, and then I can just get a mat that I can hammer onto. You'll have to excuse the fact that it's filthy, but hey ho, that's what it is. I know we're going to use some of that beautiful brocante paper, but it could just as easily be a sea theme paper. It wouldn't necessarily have to be the brocante ones. And in fact, if we're very patient, I've changed my mind and go and grab maybe a different set of papers. There we are, because these might work a little better with the colours. Yeah, so those are from Magic Forest. They might just work a little bit better. So at this point, I need to do some marking of these. So that is approximately 10 inches. There we are. And let's use this one. And I want to be approximately 1/2 inch inside. So let's just pop that. That's 1/2 inch. That's 1/2 inch. So if I pop that onto there, that's that point. That's approximately there. That's that. And then I need something that is 3.5 inches into the centre of there. Okay. So I have my crocodile. Yep. Okay. So I can now line that up. Put that into there. Let's poke that piece out of there. There we are. And I'm just lining my crocodile up with the hole. There we are. I might have regretted it. I might have used the bigger one when I first did it. But because this leather is buttery soft, I know that I can actually then get this into the centre. Well, I did get it into the centre. Oh, that's because I've got still got a piece of the leather in there. Not confusing me. It doesn't take much to confuse me. There we are. Let's fish that out of there. Right. So we've got 2 holes where we want it. Shuffle that into there. Shuffle that into there. Shuffle that into there. Line that. See if I can see where the dot is. That's it. I've got the dot that I can see through there. Don't really want to. Might just be a bit off, but hey ho. Well, yes, we are a bit off, but we'll worry about that. It won't be such a headache long term. But just line it up properly. Hello, Georgie. I'm fine, Mr. Begins, but I will make it. It's already beautiful. But where will it end? It's going to end, Georgie, as a book. Is how it's going to end, my darling. Right. So we now have, so beautifully, even though I have painted and varnished at this, a soft, buttery piece of leather that has maintained that softness. I'm going to get rid of this in a minute, but I do need it for this stage. So these are just, we're going to go with these. We could pick any colour eyelet we want, but we're just going to pick these for this day for good measure. And I also know that I just need a little hole in these ones as well. Pokey hole, get rid of that piece of leather. There we are. Approximately line these up. Again, measure it for yourselves off the live. And you could curve the edges as you want to as well. There we are. So we need 5 of those. Yep. And I'm deliberately going to line this post this. So let's pop that onto there. There's an eyelet that goes beautifully into there. I have an eyelet setting tool, but the big bite will work if that's what you've got. Now you know why I wanted to have my non-glass mat underneath me. You know, they say this is just an eyelet setting tool that I've had for ages. This one's a little off center. For the purposes of this, it's not going to matter. I will know it's off center, but I don't think it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Here we are. It's a very long time since I've had these tools out, because this particular tool set is one that I had from before crocodiles even existed. And the company that it's from no longer exists. Okay, cool. So that's going there, that's going there, that one is going on the outside, and I need a piece to line this. And I'm going to not have it in the middle because it's just going to be far easier not to have it covering those pieces. So let's just pick a piece of beautiful paper. It doesn't matter that I'm going to cover that up. So these are approximately 5. So I'm going to have a pocket over those. So let us just take this, pop that out of the way, and we can get rid of that offending horrible colour and pop it back to my normal glass mat, safe in the knowledge that we're not going to break it, because that's not cool. Right, so if we cut this to 4 inches, yeah, let's go 4 inches, 7, 5 and 6 and 3/4, 6 and 7/8, something like that. There we are. And we'll have another piece that is 4 inches. There we are. Okay, so let's just pop that over there, pop that over there, pop that over there. Okay. I think we might do that and that. So it's just slightly smaller, and I'm going to be covering that area up anyway. So I am literally going to unbung my glue. So this is the express glue. If it was ordinary fabric, I would use the fabric glue, and this is paper. So I think this is a perfectly acceptable alternative. This isn't going to be a washable, stick it in the washing machine item. I want it to be wipeable should I spill stuff on it, or I have an accident and things spill in my bag, but I don't need it to be completely washable. There we are. So that can go onto there. So that's going to, and that will just help with the stability of this piece and give a little bit of rigidity to the cover. Let's just line that up to there. There we are. We'll add that onto there. And make sure that those are pushed down nicely and we've not got edges to catch. And then we can make little pockets. So I can, so okay, let's get this, put my brain into the right place. So a little line of glue there, a line of glue down that edge, a line of glue there. Now this is, as I say, this is a midori in its simplest possible form. You can add lots of other things, but I think these would make lovely gifts. And cheap leatherette, you could make them relatively inexpensively, I think. So let's just, and then pop that one. I think we're going to pop it that way. Here we are. And have I removed the label from the manufacturer? No, but hey ho, does it matter? Not really. There we are. So that, whilst that just has a little chance to dry, she says, let's move you down a bit. You've gone walkabouts. There we are. And let's make sure that they are lined up nicely on the edges before it has a chance to grab. You see, it grabs quite quickly, does that glue? There we are. There we are. Okay. We're just going to create the pages for an insert. So that's going to require another piece of paper. Let's just grab from here something that might work. That one's going to work. That one will work. As I say, you could add as many of these inserts as you choose to do so. So we need a piece of this that is 6 3/4. Let's go, to make it 6 3/4. It's going to be easier to do that. And because the spine takes up some of the width, I'm going to cut this piece to slightly different size than the base, because so that's 4 3/4, and I'm actually going to drop it to 4.5, and 4.5 times 2 would conveniently be 9 inches. That makes life easy, doesn't it? Which side do I want? Let's go this way. So let's go 9 inches. And we think. And then let's score that at 4.5. So that's just a score going into. Hello, Miriam. Welcome, my darling. There we are. And let's give that a nice score. And then I'm going to take some of my lovely friends' papers. That could be tea stain papers, could be anything you want. And I'm just going to put some together to make an insert for it. You can add as few or as many as you want. So this needs to be, again, 9 inches. Scored at 4.5. That will just help. 6 3/4. We align those all up. Move those all up. Pop that into there. And we're not going to sew this in. We are literally just going to tie these in with elastics. Okay. So this will form the insert. And I could just as easily have it that way round. Why not? And I can add more pages as I want to. You could absolutely do that, Dolly. You could do it for lots of things. You could put pen holders in it. So I would put almost certainly add another whole wad of those papers into there, but I'm not going to lie, because the joy of this is that I can add as many as I want because of the way I'm going to close it together. So that's going to go there. That's going to go there. Hopefully some of this will now be a little bit drier. And that piece is there. So at this stage, we can leave this just as it is, or knowing that that's going to be the front of my piece, I can now start to add maybe some vines. As I say, we all know that I don't really consider myself an artist, but I can doodle. And if I can doodle, you can doodle. So we can add our, some leaves. I don't want it just to be in one area, so I am going to repeat that over here. So there we are. So I'm just literally using the Posca pen to draw onto here. This is why I wanted a dried piece of fabric rather than a piece that was semi-dried. You can see how it's not so difficult then to add just the extra detail that I'm wanting onto here. I don't think I am going to add little fishes. But we might just have some wriggly lines because we don't have to have it all the same. Let's see where we're going to go. So I think I want some more details here. So I'm going to go. I'm just going to pop some leaves. And of course, you can then repeat this on the front, on the back. But we're just adding detail. And that is definitely, for me, easier to do with the paint pens. And you could use contour liners. I'm using black. You could use white. You could, mix whatever, because these pens come in lots of different colours, don't they? It's going to be a little bit of a headache there. I don't want just one repeat of an image. So I'm now going to add in just those wriggly lines that I added up here. I'm going to reflect these down here. because it's going to help the overall effect quite nicely. And as I say, you can then carry on around the whole piece. So I might want a few more of those leaves into here, and I think I'm going to pop those into here. I've got a particularly mucky piece of black here, so let me just tidy that up. There we are. Okay, and I'm going to turn this upside down so I'm not working over my pieces, and then I can add some more. So these might well be upside down. No, we can manage that one. We can put the brain into gear. So there we are. And then I'm very conscious. I've now just gone very, very quiet because I'm just in my sort of happy zone. Oops, that's a pigeon landing on my roof. Don't worry, all is well. I'm very used to it. There we are. Okay. It just works, I think. And then we could perhaps, I'm going to pick a slightly smaller Posca pen, hope that it's working. And we might then just do some dots. And by moving about, and I can change the size of these, just the dots if I want to, just by choosing a different width pen. And by moving around, I'm sort of hoping that I don't end up with something that looks too regular. As I say, you then repeat and do the back and do as many as you want. So this doesn't require lots of fancy artistic skills. We've got one area of those. We don't really just want one area. So let's just add some dots down there into that space down there. And I think I'm going to add some dots into up here as well. So just adding 3 different elements, but you could go to town and add as many, lots more as you choose to. It's entirely up to you. The one piece I will do before I put it together is my little piece that I cut. If I can find what I've done with it. The piece that I put together, that I put the eyelets into. Got thrown on the floor. Okay. So that piece is going to be a holder. So let's just add some dots into here. Let's add some of these leaves. I think I need a new small thin Posca pen, but hey ho. There we are. It's not so easy when you've got a small area. And then we'll add just the little wavy lines into that piece. So we've got some that are empty, some that are not, and that is cool. So how many of these pieces did I cut? Excellent. So that piece needs to go into there, underneath. Okay. So that will act as a closure. This will be when the fun starts. She says, having glued everything together. Really? Come on. Okay. So that's going to go like that. Obviously, I would continue across the second piece, but I will do that off live. And then I just need to pop these two, poke those two through that small eyelet. They do go through because I've done that already. Okay. So I know that that will come round onto there, and I've got loads and loads and loads and loads of extra okay, you want this tight enough but not too tight, because if it's too tight then the whole thing will sort of fold up. And all you need to do then for this is knot that into place, give it a good pull. I would recommend a dab of glue, but I'm going to risk leaving a tail there. Okay, and for this, the next one, we're going to go in through there. I'm deliberately choosing to pop it through the loop. Get that out of the way. That can go into there. So this is just a very easy way then of hold that over there, hold that into there. That gives me lots of leeway. I don't want to tie that into there. Going to put my little pamphlet now into there. And ladies, you do then need, in an ideal world, an extra set of hands, because this is going to be a little bit of a pain. Okay, so that's one loop, and that's a second loop. That's called a surgeon's knot, double looping. And then I'm going to pop that back in there. I need to take some of the stretch out. And it's easier said than done. There we are. We've managed that. So I'm going to give that jolly good pull. Pop that in. So these papers can come in and out as I want them to. I've got a nice little pocket that I will doodle on after the live. Another pocket here that I can doodle on after the live to put things into that I might want to keep safe. Pop that over there. And then I can pop my piece over here. And I've got bespoke. We might put it on that way, and then we might have the leaves going up the right way. We're going to have the leaves going up the wrong way because that's the way I put it in. So we have a fun and funky, bright, cheerful little folio, just made with a piece of leather and paint and some papers and a bit of fun and doodling. So I really hope that that has been a helpful activity, that you've seen something that's just that little bit different. I've stopped thinking about paper and what I'm going to use. I just think that you know, it just, the freehand patterning, Barbara, just gives you some freedom, and it allows you to do what you want. And it just adds some extra interest. As I say, I know I need to add some more doodling on there and some doodling on the inside. I could write in here if I wanted to. Once that black pane's working, we might just write into that space. J. I might need a bigger pen, a thicker pen. O. U. R. J. N. A. Oh, yeah, journal. Yeah. And I could write notes, or I could do whatever. So lots of different options that I'll go over with a better pen, I think. So I think it would make a lovely make for Christmas for any form of gift, because you can then customize it to the color of your friends that you're giving it to. So let me just turn that so you're not quite so seasick. There we are. And I apologise about that because I hadn't noticed. Please, next time when I whacked my camera out of place, just let me know and I'll move things back to normal. So that is the make for today. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing next Tuesday. If Pentar asks for another fabric leather make, there'll be another leather make. If they don't, then it will probably be a more mixed media piece. And then for August, we have some very different things planned, but I'm not allowed to tell you anything more about those for the moment. So, ladies, please take great care of yourself. In the UK, please remember to make sure you've got your appropriate factors on. And that you are well protected from the heat of the day. So I will see you definitely on Sunday on my own page and on Tuesday for Pentart, and we'll have a lot of fun together. Bye.